Merhabalar. Türkiye'nin lider şirketlerinin temsilcileri, özel sektörde iyi yönetişim sertifika programımızın kıymetli mezunları ve saygıdeğer misafirler. Hepiniz Argüden Yönetişim Akademisi'nin 10. yılı vesilesiyle düzenlediğimiz Yönetişimde Mükemmellik Yolculuğu'nun 10. yılı buluşmalarının ilkine hoş geldiniz. Bugün bu buluşmamızın teması yönetim kurulları ve yapay zeka. Ve ayrıca bugün Dünya Sevgi Günü. Ve biliyorsunuz ki paylaştıkça artan iki şey vardır, bilgi ve sevgi. Bugün bilgimizi de, sevgimizi de sizinle paylaşıyoruz burada. Dünya Sevgi Gününüz kutlu olsun. Programda ilk olarak açılış konuşmalarıyla başlayacağız. Sayın Orhan Turan ve Doktor Yılmaz Argüden açılış konuşmalarını yapacaklar. Bugün TÜSİAD bize ev sahipliği yapıyor bu buluşma için. Öncelikle çok teşekkür ediyoruz kendilerine ve kıymetli açılış konuşması için Orhan Turan'ı alkışlarınızla kürsüye davet ediyorum.
Evet, ben de Sevgililer Günü kutlarım. Benim de hep mottomdur. Sevgi, zenginlik ve tecrübe paylaşa çoğalır. Değerli konuklar, TÜSİAD'a hoş geldiniz. Argüden Yönetişim Akademisi tarafından düzenlenen bu etkinlikte sizlerle bir araya gelmekten büyük mutluluk duyuyorum. Değerli konuklar, teknoloji, rekabetçiliği, üretimi ve iş yapış biçimlerimizi yeniden şekillendiriyor. Yapay zeka, nanoteknoloji, kuantum hesaplama, siber fiziksel sistemler gibi teknolojik atılımlar dijital devrimi başka bir düzeye taşıyor. Derin öğrenmeyi ve büyük veri kümelerini analiz edebilen, insan zihni gibi mantık yürütmeye programlanan akıllı makineler çok yakın gelecekte köklü bir değişim yaratacak. Geniş bant teknolojisinin ve mobil cihaz kullanımının yaygınlaşması ile veri miktarında muazzam bir artış yaşanıyor. Hayatımız akıllı cihazlarla daha mobil hale geldikçe verilerin çeşitliliği, toplanma hızı ve miktarı da artıyor. Anlamlandırmamız gereken bir devasa veri deposu için veri analizi sağlayan yeni algoritmalar geliştiriliyor. Yapay zeka, veri setlerinin analiziyle her sektöre dokunuyor. Bugün tarımsal üretimin güçlendirilmesinden iklimle mücadeleye, otonom araçlardan çevrim içi platformlara kadar sayısız alanda yapay zekadan yararlanılıyor. Yapay zekanın toplumsal ve gündelik yaşamımızda da herkese dokunan değişimler başlattığı da bir dönemde yaşıyoruz. Yapay zekanın yaygın bir şekilde benimsenmesinin 10 yıl içinde küresel gayri safi yurt içi hasılayı %7'si, yani neredeyse 7 trilyon dolar artabileceği öngörülüyor. Bu oran üretkenliğin %1,5 puan arttırılması anlamına geliyor. Yeni nesil teknolojilerin ivmelendirildiği dönüşümle birlikte dijital ekonominin küresel ekonominin içerisindeki payını giderek artırması bekleniyor. Küresel ekonomide de ve değer zincirinden söz sahibi olmak isteyen ülkeler teknolojiyi ve dijitalde ekonomik katma değer yaratmayı stratejilerinin merkezinde konumlandırıyor. Bu çerçevede geçtiğimiz sene yayınladığımız Türkiye'nin 2. yüzyılında yüksek teknoloji için eylem çağrısı raporumuzda yeni teknolojiler ile inovatif, çevik bir dijital ekosistemin oluşturulması gerektiğinin altını çizdik. Değerli konuklar, jeopolitik gerilimlerin yükselişe geçtiği, karşılıklı bağımlılığın arttığı, doğal kaynak, ham madde ve tedarik zinciri sıkıntılarının yükseldiği bir döneme tanıklık ediyoruz. Geçtiğimiz günlerde yayınlanan 2024 Küresel Riskler raporunda yapay zeka kaynaklı dezenformasyon ve siber güvenlik en büyük küresel riskler arasında öngörülüyor. Bu yıkıcı etkileri olabilecek risklere karşı küresel işbirliği içerisinde hareket edilmesinin altı çiziliyor. Giderek veriye dayanan ekonomi yapısında yapay zeka kullanımının olanaklarını ve risklerini eş zamanlı düşünmemiz gerekiyor. Yapay zeka teknolojilerinin tüm dikey sektörlerde yaygın olarak kullanılmasıyla etkin diyalog mekanizmalarına ihtiyaç duyuluyor. Bu kapsamda rekabet politikası ve düzenleyici rejimlerin inovasyon ekosisteminin gelişimine katkı sağlayacak şekilde güçlendirilmesi de gerekiyor. İlaveten sınır ötesi veri akışlarına ve dijital dünyada eşik bekçisi olarak tanımlanan dijital platformlara yönelik çerçeve düzenlemeleri de önem kazanıyor. Değerli konuklar, Avrupa Birliği 2030'a kadar dijital kapasitesini, insan kaynağını ve altyapısını önemli ölçüde geliştirmeyi hedefliyor. Bu çerçevede veri akışları, siber dayanıklılık ve güvenlik, yapay zeka, blok zincir ve kuantum hesaplamalar gibi alanlara da öncelik veriliyor. Siber güvenlik, uluslararası veri akışları, veri gizliliği, dijital haklar ve etik standartlar dahil dijital dönüşümü çok boyutlu ve bütüncül ele almaya yönelik pek çok yeni mevzuat ortaya koyuyor. Son olarak AB pazarı için geçerli olan dünyanın ilk kapsamlı yapay zeka yasası kabul edildi. Yasa, teknoloji sağlayıcıları, dağıtıcıları, ithalatçıları ve yapay zeka sistemlerinden etkilenen kişileri kapsayan bütüncül düzenlemeleri içeriyor. En önemli ticaret ve yatırım ortağımız Avrupa'nın geleceğinin şekillendiği bu dönemde bu düzenlemelere erken uyumluluğun sağlanması şirketlerimiz için rekabet avantajı yaratacaktır. Bu kapsamda vakit kaybetmeden bütüncül ve koordineli bir yaklaşımla dijital dönüşümü çok boyutlu olarak ele almalı ve gerekli regülatif düzenlemeleri de vakitlice hayata geçirmeliyiz. Değerli konuklar, yapay zeka sistemleri sektör ayırt etmeksizin ölçeğini artırmaya devam ettikçe ihtiyaç duyulan beceri gereksinimlerini karşılamak için iş gücümüzü geliştirmemiz gerekecek. Dijital uçurum gelişmekte olan ekonomilerde ne yazık ki daha fazla. Otomasyon nedeniyle orta vasıflı işçilerin kaybedildiği bir geçişi tanıklık ediyoruz. Otomasyon ve teknolojik ilerleme düşük ve orta seviye becerilere dayanan büyüme modellerinden ziyade yüksek katma değerli üretimi rekabet gücünün merkezine taşıyor. Bu yeni yapıda başarıyı sağlayacak üst düzey yeteneklere ihtiyaç hayati önem taşıyor. Becerileri artırma, yeniden beceri kazanma ve hayat boyu öğrenme yaklaşımlarıyla mevcut ve potansiyel iş gücünün yetkinliklerini artırma şirketlerin önceliği oluyor. Değerli konuklar, yapay zekanın tetiklediği bu teknolojik dönüşüm, sektörlerimiz ve şirketlerin üst düzey yöneticileri için stratejik bir gündem olarak karşımızda. Bizleri bekleyen değişimlerin derinlemesine ele alınacağı, ufuk açıcı ve verimli bir etkinlik olmasını diliyor. Argüden Yönetişim Akademisi'ni bu çok zamanlı etkinliği düzenledikleri için tebrik ediyor. Emeği geçenlere ve tüm katılımcılara da teşekkür ediyorum.
İlham verici konuşması ve değerli paylaşımları için Orhan Bey'e çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Şimdi açılış konuşmasını yapmak üzere Argüden Yönetişim Akademisi Mütevelli Heyeti Başkanı Doktor Yılmaz Argüden'i kürsüye davet edeceğim. Kendisi bize akademinin 10 yıllık yolculuğundan, hangi amaçla ve nasıl kurulduğundan ve buluşmalarımızdan bahsedecek.
Çok kıymetli misafirler, Argüden Yönetişim Akademisi'nin 10. yılı nedeniyle düzenlediğimiz ve bu sene düzenlemeye devam edeceğimiz bir dizi etkinliğin ilkine hoş geldiniz. Şeref verdiniz. 10 sene önce şöyle bir anlayışla Yönetişim Akademisi'ni kurduk. Kurumlarına güven duyulan toplumları geliştirmek, yaşam kalitesini geliştirmenin ve sürdürülebilir bir gelecek inşa etmenin temelidir. Bundan 2 sene önce OECD çok önemli bir çalışma alanı belirledi. O da güveni inşa etmek ve demokrasiyi güçlendirmek adına. Ve OECD ülkeleri bakanlar düzeyinde bu konu ele alınıyor, çalışmalar yapılıyor. Bununla ilgili gelişmeler nasıl tespit edilebilir, ne gibi araçlar yetiştirilebilir diye çalışmalar yapılıyor. Bu sene Dünya Ekonomik Forumu'nun temel konusu güveni tekrar inşa etmekti. Demek ki çok doğru bir damar yakalamışız. Hakikaten güven olmadan yaşam kalitesi yükselmiyor, sürdürülebilir gelecek inşa etmek güç oluyor. Böyle bir önemli konuyu 10 sene önce ele alarak toplumsal sorumluluk duygusuyla toplumda bu konuda her türlü kurumda güveni inşa edecek çalışmalar yapmayı seçtik. Tabii ki bizim herhangi bir yaptırım gücümüz yok. Tamamen bir düşünce merkezi olarak, entelektüel sermayeyi geliştirerek, bu konudaki duyarlılığı arttırarak aslında toplumsal güveni geliştirdiğimiz bir alan yaratma çabası içerisindeyiz. Bugün Sevgililer Günü, sevgili Gamze'nin de söylediği gibi hayatta iki şey var ki paylaştıkça artıyor. Bilgi ve sevgi. Bizim toplumsal sevgimiz son derece üst düzeyde, bilgiyi de devamlı geliştirmeye gayret ediyoruz ve paylaşmaya gayret ediyoruz. Müsaadenizle bu konudaki yolculuğumuzu biraz daha geriden alarak birkaç örnekle paylaşmak istiyorum. Akademinin kurucusu Ar-Ge danışmanlığın kuruluşundan bu yana 1/3 asır geçti. 33 sene. Bu 33 sene içerisinde daha kuruluşumuzda 2 tane kendimize gösterge koyduk. Ölçmek için ve sürekli geliştirmek için. Bunlardan bir tanesi, birçoğunuz da biliyorsunuz bunu zaten bu salonda olanların. Haftada bir günümüzü gönüllü işlere ayırarak toplumsal gelişmeye katkı sağlamak. İkincisi de senede bir ayımızı yenilikleri takip etmek, öğrenmek ve sadece öğrenmek değil, geliştirmek üzere yayın yapmak ve bunu paylaşmak için zaman ayırmak. Zaman en önemli rekabet gücü ve bu şekildeki çalışma disiplinimizin hakikaten birçok konuda fark yaratabildiğini gözlemledik. Özellikle bize bu fırsatı veren bir sürü çalıştığımız kuruluş ki 500'den fazla, onlara teşekkür ediyorum ama çok daha önemlisi bu çalışma anlayışımız bizim ülkemizde ve hatta dünyada birçok sivil toplum kuruluşunun kurulmasına, gelişimine ve birçok kavramın daha yaygınlaşmasına önemli katkı sağladığını söyleyebilirim. Birkaç örnek vermek gerekirse, ilk kurulduğumuz dönemlerde Türkiye'nin en önemli dönüşümsel gündemi Avrupa Birliği, Gümrük Birliği'ydi. Ve Gümrük Birliği'nde sanayimiz ne olacak konusu bütün TÜSİAD üyelerimiz olduğu gibi sanayicilerimizi de önemli ölçüde etkiliyordu. Ve o dönemde Türk sanayisinin kalite çalışmalarıyla rekabetçi hale gelmesini desteklemek üzere Ulusal Kalite Hareketi'ne öncülük yapmaktan büyük onur duyuyoruz. Hakikaten o çalışmalar ve ona katkı sağlayan yüzlerce kişi sayesinde Türkiye rekabet gücünde sanayisi en büyük ihracat konumu sektörü haline geldi. Özellikle otomotiv sanayisi. Türkiye'de bu Ulusal Kalite Hareketi ile başlattığımız yaklaşımlar Avrupa Kalite Vakfı'na örnek oldu. Ve 2020 yılında Avrupa Kalite Vakfı kendi modelini güncellemek, yenilemek için davet ettiği 10 kuruluştan bir tanesi biz olduk. Türkiye'den de tek olmak üzere. Ve böylelikle bu fikirlerin yayılmasında sadece ülkemize değil Avrupa'ya da katkıda bulunma fırsatı bulduk. Bir başka örnek vermek gerekirse kendimiz için belirlediğimiz haftada bir günlük gönüllü kuruluş çalışmasını topluma nasıl yayabiliriz diye bakıp Özel Sektör Gönüllüler Derneği'nin kuruluşuna öncülük yaptık. Ve bu dernek bugün 70'e yakın büyük şirketi de kapsıyor. Kurumsal gönüllülük kavramının ülkemizde gelişmesine çok önemli katkı sağladı. Çünkü ilk başta yaptığımız çalışmalarda gönüllülük deyince bağış yapmak anlaşılıyordu. Halbuki gönüllülük toplumsal bir sorunu sahiplenip onu çözmek için bilgi birikimini de faydalanmak gerekiyor. Ve Koç Holding'in başlattığı çok başarılı bir proje olan Meslek Lisesi Memleket Meselesi projesini bu derneğe devrederek 40 şirketin bu çalışmayı ileriye götürmesini, sahiplenmesini sağlayan da bir dernek oldu. Dolayısıyla hakikaten gönülden vermek aslında gönülden kazandırmayı getiriyor. Yarın da gönülden ödüller var Özel Sektör Gönüllüler Derneği'nin. Bu dönemki başkanı Pınar Hanım da aramızda. Oraya da bekleriz. 2002 yılında Global Compact'in sorumlu ilkeler, liderlik ilkelerinin Türkiye'deki ilk imzacısı olduk. Ve daha sonra Birleşmiş Milletler'in de talebiyle gönüllü olarak Türkiye ağının kurulması sorumluluğunu üstlendik. Burada geliştirdiğimiz yenilikçi stratejiler sayesinde Türkiye ağı dünyada en başarılı ağ olarak seçildi. Ve UN Global Compact Ulusal Ağlar Başkanlığı ile bu başkanı seçilerek bu inisiyatifin dünyanın en yaygın sürdürülebilirlik platformu olmasına da katkı sağlama imkanımız oldu. Dolayısıyla Türkiye'de yaptıklarımız başka yerlerde de fayda sağlar hale gelmeye başladı. 2015 yılında B20'nin yönetişim ve sürdürülebilirlik konusunda bilgi ortağı seçilerek özellikle entegre düşünce ve entegre raporlamanın G20 liderleri içine öneriler arasına girmesini sağladık. Ve akademimiz de dünyada sivil toplum kuruluşları arasında öncü, Türkiye'de de ilk entegre rapor yayınlayan kurum oldu. İşte 10 sene önce bu ve bunun gibi ulusal ve uluslararası deneyimlerden elde ettiğimiz güven iyi yönetişimin özüdür ve sürdürülebilir kalkınmanın da temelidir anlayışını ülkemizde ve dünyada yaymak için kuruldu Argüden Yönetişim Akademisi. Akademiyi yönetişim alanındaki çalışma yapan diğer birçok kurumdan ayırt eden birkaç özellik var. Bunlardan bir tanesi herhangi bir sektöre odaklı değil. Yani sadece şirketlerin yönetişimiyle ilgilenmiyor. Sadece kamu yönetişimiyle de ilgilenmiyor. Sadece sivil toplumla, hepsiyle birlikte ilgileniyor. Bu bakış açısı aslında yönetişimin bir ilkeler dizisi, bir uyulması gereken standartların ötesinde ortak kaynakları birlikte kullanma, birlikte yaşama kültürü olduğunu anlamamıza ve bunu yaymamıza bizim çok fayda sağladı. Bu nedenle de dünyada belki ilk kez çocuklara yönetişim öğreten 20 haftalık oyunlarla bir program hazırladık. Üniversite gençlerinin özellikle kulüplerde faaliyetleri olan liderlerine yönetişim öğreterek kulüplerinde uygulamalarını öncülük yaptık ve 40 üniversiteyi 20 ili kapsayan bir gençlik ağımız birbirleriyle kendi kendilerinin de yönetişimini sağlayacak şekilde işbirlikleri yapmaya başladılar. Öğrenmenin ve gelişmenin temelinin ölçme olduğunu, ilk adımının ölçme olduğunu vurgulayarak akademi birkaç tane de özgün araştırma sistematiği geliştirdi. Özel sektör için sürdürülebilirlik yönetişim karnesi, kamu sektöründe belediye yönetişim karnesi gibi çalışmalarla aslında yönetişimi dünyada ölçme yöntemi olarak kullanılan genel yöntemlerden farklı bir yöntemi geliştirdik. Genelde yönetişimle ilgili çalışmalar ya bir algı çalışması oluyor ki bu da son dönemin aktivitelerinden çok etkilenebiliyor. Veya başka amaçlarla toplanılan verilerin işlenmesinden oluyor. O da karşılaştırmayı zorlaştırabiliyor. Oysa halka açık bilgiler üzerinden kurumlar kendi performanslarını gerçekleştirirken nasıl adımlar atıyorlar? Dolayısıyla mesele sadece performansı oluşturmak değil, aynı zamanda paydaşların güvenini kazanmak için neler yapıyorlar konusunu ölçmeye başladık. Bu ölçümlemeler Birleşmiş Milletler, G20, OECD gibi birçok uluslararası kurumca iyi örnek olarak algılandı bu çalışmalarımız. Ve burada temel anlayışın şu olması gerektiğini vurguluyoruz. Sadece kısa dönemli performansa odaklanmak, o performansı elde etmek için paydaşların güveninin yitirilmesine neden olacak davranışları da içeriyorsa, orada performansın sürdürülebilirliği de olmuyor. Bu nedenle özellikle yönetim kurullarının, liderlerin, bu yönetişimle ilgili kesimlerin, kurumların sadece nasıl performans elde ettiğine değil, aynı zamanda bu performansı elde ederken paydaşlarının güvenini nasıl zenginleştirdiği veya yitirdiği konusuna da özen göstermesi ihtiyacı var. Çünkü sürdürülebilir bir gelecek ancak bu şekilde inşa edilebilir. Akademi bir yandan geniş alanda güven kültürünü oluşturacak eğitim programları, araştırmalar gerçekleştirirken, diğer taraftan yönetişim uygulamalarının kıyaslamasına fırsat tanıyan araştırma yöntemleri de geliştirdi. Ve Avrupa Konseyi tarafından yetkilendirilerek Avrupa Yönetişim Markası'nın Türkiye'de kullanılması yetkisini kazandı. Katılımcı Demokrasi Okulu gibi öncü uygulamalara imza atma fırsatı yakaladık. Burs programlarımızla yönetişim konusunda çalışan arkadaşları desteklemeye gayret ediyoruz. Özetle, yaşam kalitesini geliştirmenin anahtarı olan ve kurumlara güven duyulan bir toplum için iyi yönetişim kültürünü oluşturmak üzere gerçekleştirilen çalışmalar bizim için çok önemli. Bunları gerçekleştirmeye çalışıyoruz ve bu konuda bize destek olan tüm bağışçılarımıza, destekçilerimize, işbirliği ortaklarımıza ki birçok kurumla da işbirliği yapıyoruz. Bunları esirgemedikleri için özellikle teşekkür etmek istiyorum. 10. yılımız nedeniyle bu anlayışı daha da iyi yaygınlaştırmak üzere dünyadaki yönetişim gurularını Türkiye ile buluşturma çabası içerisindeyiz. Bunu iki şekilde gerçekleştiriyoruz. Bir, bugün TÜSİAD'ın ev sahipliği yaptığı fiziki toplantılarla. Bu nedenle TÜSİAD'a ve Kanada'dan bizim için buraya gelen David'e özellikle teşekkür ediyorum. İkincisi de Harvard Business Review Türkiye ile bir webinar serisi, video serisiyle Mervyn King, Sir Mark Moody Stuart, Paul Polman gibi bu konudaki küresel liderleri Türkiye ile buluşturmaya gayret ediyoruz. Harvard Business Review'ya da özellikle teşekkür etmek istiyorum. Kanadalı bir şirketin yönetim kurulunda 10 seneye yakın görev yaptım. Bu arada birlikte çalışma fırsatı bulduğum David'le de çok yakın bir ilişkimiz oldu. Kendisi Uluslararası Kurumsal Yönetişim Ağı ömür boyu başarı ödülü sahibi ve akademimizin de danışma kurulunda yer alıyor. Diğer liderler gibi, demin bahsetmiş olduğum isimler gibi. Bugün gene bundan belki 30 sene önce Türkiye için dönüşümsel konu gümrük birliği ve rekabet gücünü yakalamaktı. Bugün ise önemli konumuz aslında dönüşümsel bir boyutu olan yapay zekanın hayatımızı nasıl etkileyeceği. Bunu sade teknoloji ve kullandığımız araçlar olarak değil, bu işin yönetişimini nasıl yapacağımız da çok kritik veya yönetişim yapılarımıza nasıl katkı sağlayacağı da çok kritik. Çünkü bu kısmını gerçekleştirmezsek çok başka risklerle de karşılaşma fırsatı olacaktır. Bize Türkiye'de bu konuda yüz yüze bir toplantı fırsatı tanıdığı için David'e teşekkür ediyorum. Bu vesileyle sözlerime son vermeden önce henüz aranızda izlemeyenler varsa bir Netflix dizisi olan Kübra'yı bıkmadan sonuna kadar izlemenizi de tavsiye ediyorum. Hepinize katılımınız için teşekkür ediyor. Kurumlarına duyulan bir toplum için her birimize, başta kendi kurumlarımızda ama aynı zamanda paydaşı olduğumuz tüm kurumlarda bu konunun daha güncel, daha önemli bir hale gelmesi için destek olmanızı diliyorum. Teşekkürler Müslüman.
Konuşması için Yılmaz Bey'e de teşekkür ediyoruz. Şimdi hepimizin merakla beklediği yapay zeka ve yönetim kurulları sunumuna geçeceğiz. Sayın David Beatty, Profesör David Beatty aramızda. Yılmaz Bey'in de bahsettiği gibi kendisi Kanada'dan geldi. Hoş geldiniz diyoruz. Aranızda kendisini tanıyanlar var. 2018'de de onu burada Türkiye'de ağırlama fırsatımız olmuştu. Özel sektörde iyi yönetişim sertifika programının bir eğitmeni olarak aramızda bulunmuştu bundan 5 yıl önce. Birazdan kendisini de dinleyeceğiz yapay zeka konusundaki sunumuyla. Dear Professor David Beatty, it's a great honor to see you and host you in Turkey after 5 years. We appreciate for your willingness to share with us how AI can be integrated with high-level management roles. The floor is yours for your presentation. Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I hope, oh, did I lose my, can you hear me all right back there? Oh, but this is for simultaneous translation. Oh dear. Help, help, help. Who in the crowd has given cards, flowers, or chocolates to their favorite lady? Hands up? Yes? No? This is an opportunity for you. We'll get you out of here. Yes, sign. Good. So, I'm also very proud to be a part of the Argudin Academy. I was an initial member, I think, of the International Advisory Group. So, Yilmaz, to you and all your colleagues, congratulations. I think you've made a tremendous difference to society and to trust, and to perhaps all of us love. Would that be important? All right, I'm going to take you through what I call the AI tsunami this afternoon. And I'd like to thank everybody in TUS-IAD for having us here today. And I hope that says, what does that say? Okay. I'm going to start you with this. This is a compass. And to be at sea, you need a compass to navigate and a sextant to find the horizon and discern where you are. Any ocean-going sailors here? One. Yilmaz, okay. So I sailed for 3,500 miles for a year in the Pacific with my family of 4 kids, and they were aged 4, 6, 8, and 10. So the last time I gave this lecture to a group of eminent business people, they said to me, and we should trust you to give us advice, taking 4, 6, 8, and 10-year-olds to the open ocean for a year? I said, good point. Maybe that's not a good idea. But I did get to where I was going, and I got there in an age where there was no GPS, no communication of any kind, using only the compass and the sextant. So I thought to myself, this is where I went. I went 3,500 miles and then lived in New Zealand. I thought to myself, North, east, south, and west. Is there a way we can capture all we've learned and thought and talked about in corporate governance into those 4 quadrants? And I said yes. And I believe this slide, and this is being recorded, isn't it? So this will be available to everybody. North, east, south, and west. And our opportunity here, I think, is to add value as directors as opposed to being policemen and overseeing and making sure our managers don't steal too much of our wealth. Is that it? Okay. So up on the top, the north is the skills. Simply, it's who's around the boardroom table, what skill sets do they have, and skills matrices are now a very common form of assessment. Then the soft side of that is how they individually behave. How do they, as a small group of people, actually interact with each other? Are there a lot of loud talkers? Are there a lot of very silent people? And how does that work? And then finally, collectively, how does this board gel together? What do they do that builds a sense of teamship and trust across the boardroom table? That's the north. Who's there, how they act individually at the boardroom table, and how collectively they gel together. In the east, I think the agenda. I think of the agenda of a board of directors as the biggest investment decision a board ever makes. How are we going to invest the time of our executives and of our directors collectively to add value to the corporation? And unless we work at that, it's just not going to happen casually. Down here, briefings. The one thing that almost every board I've ever worked with, every board I've ever surveyed, does very badly is communicating to the directors in a way that they can add value to the journey of the corporation. McKinsey's book that came out a year ago, last January, said that the most successful CEOs in the world regard their board as advisors to them, and that their fundamental responsibility is to help the board help us as the management team run the company better. It's a huge difference from what normally directors think. And normally CEOs of American companies anyhow, some 80% of them regard their boards as sort of police persons, not adding value. I think there's a huge and continuing opportunity for any board of directors to add value, but you have to make sure that the briefings they get are at least competent in bringing you into their world. And then we have a whole bunch of structural stuff. In North America, we always have in publicly traded companies audit, HR, and governance, but maybe today we need a risk committee, technology committee, stakeholder management committee, something ad hoc, something advisory. Those are my 4 compass points. And I think they capture a fair amount of discipline in how a board of directors ought to work with its management team going forward. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the chair, which you see is pretty critical in the skill set, in building the agenda, in coordinating and managing the briefings, and in deciding on the structure. I think without a great chair, it's not possible to be a value-added director. It is just simply not possible. I resigned from an S&P 500 company board because the chairman of that board refused to change the way that he actually ran the meetings. And it made it impossible for the board to contribute to the ongoing trajectory of the corporation. So I've actually had personal experience of going to New York on 2 or 3 occasions to talk one-on-one with the chair to say we've got to change the way we run these meetings. And nothing happened. So I resigned from the board. So chair is critical. And without the chair and the CEO developing a sense of the Argonaut Academy trust as essential to their relationship, nothing's going to work. So we'll start from this proposition. Without a great chair, you can't have a value-added board. And if the chair doesn't have a really close, intimate working relationship with the CEO, nothing's going to work. There'll be no trust, there'll be no openness, there'll be no transparency, and therefore tough issues are never going to get discussed. So that's my thing. Anybody seen this gentleman? There's a TED Talk, 17 minutes. You should take a chance to look at it, called The Transformative Power of Classical Music. It's Ben Zander. He was the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, and at about minute 14, he said, suddenly I turned 45. And you know, it was the first time I ever thought that I'm the only person on the stage that doesn't make a sound. My job is to pull together 125 virtuoso experts at their various instruments into a coherent whole. And so this, to me, was the perfect metaphor for the chair of the board. It's not to exert his or her power or influence or point of view. It's to bring together the talent that is in that boardroom, management and directors, to a coherent whole to project out in the interests of stakeholders, shareholders, and the corporation itself. So if you get a chance, watch this. It's a great 18 minutes by itself. But from it, I took this idea that the job of a chair is to coordinate the talent in the room around the boardroom table. Without that, nothing can happen. Okay, so talent around the table. Chair is influential in correcting. The time investment, the chair is pretty critical. And the tone of the meetings, the stress, we have a different job as a board than the management team, clearly. So there is stress. There's a lot of stress potential. But the balance between stress and sort of value add is, I call that the tone. And that's critical to any board, and that's what the chair does. I'm going to take a deep dive, because I think my topic was something else, wasn't it? What was I supposed to talk about today? Yeah. I'm going to go into this one here, the huge investment decision, because I think this is transformative stuff. This is how I generally characterize boards. I ask my classes, what's the job of a board? You get a laundry list, 1,500 things. I try to reduce it to 3 lines of sight. The past is where we've been. That's the hindsight. Looking in the rearview mirror, our audited statements to our shareholders, our compliance with the various oversight agencies, all this stuff is hindsight. Oversight, we're looking at the results. We're approving capital expenditures and maybe hiring outside the boundaries established. And we should be understanding the corporate culture in which we are operating. And foresight, where do we want to grow when we grow up? And who's going to get us there? So I did a lot of surveying here. This is the compliance policing piece. This is the strategy talent. So I call that policing, and I call that value adding. 2 completely different functions. So we did ask a survey with McKinsey of about 300 North American directors, and we asked them, how do you, spend your time, invest. Who uses it? When you think about your time, shouldn't you be thinking about it as an investment decision, not an expenditure decision, because then you'd be looking for perhaps a return on that investment, right? You're asking yourself the right question. Did we invest our time in such a way that the corporation is getting a return on that investment? So I try to use this, but I'm only good about half the time. How did we invest our time? We did a study of McKinsey, about 275 directors. That's what they said. We invest in about 70% worrying about today and 30% about tomorrow. Anybody, what would you think when we asked them the next question? How should you be investing your time? Anybody like to hazard what do you think the answer came back? Exactly, yeah. It flipped around 100%. That's how we are, but this is how we ought to be. Now, the variation between strategy and oversight sometimes gets blurred, but essentially, you want to try to invest as much of your time in your board meetings worrying about the future and how you're going to get there and who the competitors are and whether you have the talent and, as opposed to where were we yesterday? Is the car out of gas? You know, are we on the highway we thought we were on? So pushing the agenda into a future-oriented investment decision is a really important tool for any board. And it's very easily measured. This is some work Russ Reynolds did. These were the great companies. These were the also-rans. And if you look at where they didn't invest their time, financial statements. That's the past. It's gone. Let's just approve them and move on. Compliance-related activities, even less. And audit-related activities. In fact, Yilmaz was good enough to join the InMet board when I was chairman. We had a mine in Chayali. And I said to the chair of our audit committee, John Clappison, John, you've got 5 minutes to report to the board on the financial results from the year. And he was a former auditor, the head of Ernst & Young in Canada. And he got really angry at me. 5 minutes? David, there's all kinds of things happening. I said, John, if I want people to know what's going on in the financial side of the world, I'll send them to the audit committee. The board isn't going to rework the work you've done as the audit committee. We're going to think about and do something else. Do you remember? That was, okay, so Mr. Drucker, anybody remember Peter Drucker? Yeah, those who teach in business schools today, as I do, none of the students know who he was. So I have to say, one of the great management gurus of the previous century was Peter Drucker. And this is what he said, and it hasn't changed. So whatever, again, I think is a very simple tool for you to decide how you're investing your time as a board, hindsight, oversight, or foresight, and then make a conscious decision to try and shift that investment decision more to the future. A very useful tool, back of the envelope, can be applied to any organization, not for profit or for profit. So, with that as a background, the digital tsunami, which is how I describe what's happening, is upon us. It's devastating in its impact. This wave is coming into a major city. It's a mile high. It's traveling at 500 miles an hour, and it's 3 miles long. You can't just duck and hold your breath. And there's 10 of them in a row. This is transformative. This is going to wipe out. It's estimated that when the Canary Islands, island of La Palma, falls into the Atlantic Ocean, 300 cubic miles of material, 75 million people will die. Because most people won't believe it's happened, and they won't believe the impact of this, and they'll think that we can just hold our breaths and we'll be fine. No, this is devastating. This is completely new. This is digital transformation. Devastating in its impact. And as Yilmaz mentioned at the Economic Forum just finished, they had a number of risks that they worried about, but you'll see there were at least 2 of them that related to this digital tsunami. So this is on everybody's agenda. McKinsey's work just last week of things that CEOs were worrying about was the rise of disruptive digital technologies. The #1 concern of most CEOs in McKinsey's practice today. The #1 concern. So, not all believe still yet that this is here. They believe they can hold their breaths, duck their heads, have a straw, and survive. I don't. And I'm going to talk about 3 things: the scale of innovation, the speed of introduction of new innovative ideas, and finally, what I call the singularity of generative AI. This is going to transform every single thing in the world in which we do and live and work, period. So let's talk about the scale. This is in marketing and technology, a little field, but there are now 13,080 new innovative startup companies in this one arena. Marketing technology, 13,000. Think of that number, 13,000 new startups. Each of them with an idea. That's the list of them. Every single dot of color you see here is somebody with an idea who's built a company, who's got financing, and who's out there trying to change the marketing world. Every single one of those. Blow up one component, customer relations management, that's incredible. The amount of innovation occurring everywhere in this universe is extraordinary. We've never experienced anything like it before. So that's one little bit. The piece that comes underneath this, that's what you see. They estimated that by the end of last year, there will, for these 13,000 startups, there'll be over 500 million new digital apps available for companies. 500 million. That's in 1 year. That's a big number, isn't it, for new innovations? 500 million, how are you going to sort them out for your own business? All right, and if you just take a look through any sector of activity, disrupting retail, commercial banking, furniture tech, my favorite one, disrupting the happy hour, new drinks, cannabis-infused beverages. Okay, tech, stadium tech. Who's even heard of stadium tech? But look at them all these startups. And there are now, at the end of last year, 1,205 private companies in the world valued at over $1 billion. They're new. They're brand new. 2 or 3 years ago, they didn't exist. Today, there's 1,205 of them in the world that are transforming everything we do, from AI to auto to consumer retail. And the amount of investment going into these new ideas is $720 billion. This is not trivial sort of, oh, and by the way stuff. $720 billion went into these technologies in 2022. I would imagine that number this last year would be at least as great, maybe double. And here's some examples. This is the investing in where we're going, global AI. In the field, in 2020, in the field of AI machine learning operations, we spent or invested $309 million in 2020. This is only 3 years later, right? 3 years. The number's $2.4 billion. In the field of data management, it's gone from $138 million to $1.1 billion. In the field of models, like large language models, like ChatGPT. Anybody here been on ChatGPT? Good. If you haven't been there, get there this afternoon, okay? Start. But look at that, from 44 million to 16 billion. You add them all up, the number's gone from 2 billion in 2020 to 34 billion last year. That is a large percentage increase, and it's a huge absolute amount. And this is the pace of change, the scale of change that is occurring around us in every industry today. Speed of introduction. So something new happens, how long does it take to get off the ground? This is the telephone here, Alexander Graham Bell, a little before 1900, and it got to 80% of the US population maybe 70 years later. Look at all of these innovations on the right, the digital camera, the tablet, the microwave, the smartphone. There's now 7 billion of them in the world. It's straight up. The adoption is almost instantaneous, almost universal. And ChatGPT got to 1 million users in 5 days. 5 days, from 0, 5 days, to 1 million users, versus Instagram, which took 75 days, and Spotify took 150. Look at this at another scale. It got to 100 million users almost overnight, versus Instagram, Spotify, Twitter, and Netflix. That's incredible. That means when something happens in your business or industry that's transformative, if you're not on that train, you're going to get left out, because it's going to sweep through the industry almost instantaneously. So speed of innovation has just dramatically transformed itself. This is my teaching buddy, Nick Darvo-Garneau. He was Google's chief evangelist. That meant he and his staff of 40 visited 300 to 500 CEOs a year around the world to ask them, what are you doing about digital technology? Are you even aware of this tsunami that's on us? And they tried to get them moving in this direction. Nick talked to Elon Musk, and he said, 10 years from now, what will be Tesla's competitive advantage? And he was thinking himself, longer life, easier to charge batteries, maybe cars that drive themselves, maybe a network of chargers around the world that make it pretty easy to charge up. What do you think the answer was? Any ideas? No one else will be as fast. When there's a change to be made in a Tesla vehicle, it goes into the next car. It doesn't wait for the annual model change. It goes into the next vehicle. That's completely transformative in that industry. This is Sundar Pichai, who Nick worked for the last 15 years. And Google's culture is to grow constantly, improve 1% a day, and innovate. They now have something over 600 PhDs in machine learning in the company. And when asked the same question, he said, the only sustainable competitive advantage in today's world is speed. If you don't move and don't move fast and ever faster, you're just not going to survive this. It's too innovative, it moves too fast, it's too transformative. So he reckons that half the S&P 500 will be gone in the next decade. Half of the S&P 500 gone. Not through mergers and acquisitions, but just overwhelmed by the digital tsunami. That's big stuff. So I'm now going to go to the last piece, and that's the singularity of generative AI. This is Nick again. And Nick's got 3 kinds of AI. Computational AI, which is crunching the data. And he believes that it provides almost always superhuman math. It gives you hugely better solutions of anything that we as human beings have been able to figure out. Then there's generative AI. This is a house that Nick built on instructions and prompts to a web discovery visual generator. Took them 30 seconds to design this house. And so the infinite capacity here to be creative is transformative. And finally, we're getting to sensory AI, where we're replicating our ability to smell, hear, talk, see, visualize. So those are his 3 kinds of AI. On this one, anybody here an actuary? That's a blessing. Good. In the automobile insurance industry, the premiums you're charged are determined by an actuary. And they take 72 different parameters of you. Age, driving record, car miles driven, and 72 of them. They reckon that they have a 24% accuracy in anticipating the outcome of your driving experience. 24%. Google, with Nick in charge, went in and within 1 week, Google DeepMind had changed those 72 parameters to 78%. So now the company they did that with still has a 20% market share, but it now has an 80% profit share, and the other companies haven't bothered to follow. How can you possibly remain in the car insurance industry when all of the best premiums are being drained off by a competitor? You've got to be there or you're gone. The same thing is true in so many other things, and in this case, this is while you're typing it in. My name is Yilmaz Arguden, I'm this age, I'm this, you're typing in your parameters. In real time, Google is generating an insurance quote based upon what their DeepMind program did. And it's feeding it back to the Google ad that's going to come up when you press enter. And if you're a lousy risk, that company's not even going to appear on the first list. We're giving that business to somebody else who wants it. If you look like you're a great risk, you'll come up number 1, 2, and 3. So in real time, Google is transforming the marketing, advertising of the insurance companies to meet the projections of their insurance parameters. 78% from 24. I mean, that's amazing. So it's a profit forecast that goes back, and this is, in the United States, they've done this, Google's done this with 2 companies, and this is a separation of the ones that have adopted this generative AI data crunching approach with those who haven't. And I think that's just going to go to 0. So this is in real time. This is really happening today. It's been published. You can actually read about it. Use machine learning for insurance pricing. But guess what? Who runs most automotive insurance companies? The actuaries. Do you think if you're an actuary, you're going to like this program? Seems to me you might lose your job. Not so. In fact, the companies that have adopted this are using more actuaries because there's a system pilot, co-pilot. The co-pilot is the program. The pilot is still the actuary. Because a lot of stuff can happen in generative AI that is biased that you can't figure out unless you have a pilot beside you. John Deere. Who thinks of John Deere as a tractor company makes green tractors? That's exactly right. They make green tractors. No, they don't any. They do, but they're now in a precision agriculture business. The company they bought, Blue River Technology, in 2017, senses the need of each plant's water, fertilizer, or pesticide. Every single corn stalk in a 20 million corn stalk field is known by the software. And so let's put a drop of water on that one, and a bit of pesticide on that one, and a lot of fertilizer on those 4, instead of spraying the field with water, fertilizer. 96% of the costs of the farmers who got this technology from John Deere, 96% profit improvement. This is not kind of marginal stuff. This is transformative. So if you're the CEO of Kubota Tractor, and you make red tractors, and you thought you competed against a company that made green tractors, the world is fundamentally transformed. You're no longer in the tractor business, you're in the farm profitability, productivity business. And unless you get on that pitch fast, you're going to be gone as a company. So Ride with Pride is what they did, but with this one, that's the first smart sprayer in the world. And they now have fully automated tractors, so you can own your cornfield and live in Barbados or a Greek island and run your farm from the Greek island completely remotely. Like a Zoom call. There we go. So that was it. Optimize every plant. The other thing is this is not a casual investment. This is led from the top. And if you look at the number of things on their strategy map that they're worrying about, autonomous tractors, carbon capture, farm management software, robots and drones, sensor systems, and automotive tech. And you think of the ways that they can get into these fields through a joint venture, acquisition, and a direct investment or a partnership. That's what they're doing. That's their strategy map. This is not kind of, we've done one thing. We're now involved in spray tech, autonomous tractors, computer vision, startups, incubators, 7 to 13 of those 5. We're involved in 33 new technology startups as a company today. And maybe the number tomorrow will be 50. This is led from the top, from the CEO and the board of directors saying, you've got to transform this business. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to have a lot of different kinds of investment. Some of the other companies that are doing this, this is him, this is the CEO. Want to hear how our tech is moving farming forward? Listen to his speech, he'll tell you. Here's another one of sorting. This algorithm of sorting, you got 100 bricks and you put them in different arbitrary orders and you say to the program, order them from 1 to 100 or 100 to 1. And we made no improvements in the last 30 years as human beings. They put in DeepMind and they came up with an algorithm with 70% faster for sorting in a problem that humans had been able to not improve for 30 years, 3 decades. So that's computational. You can't compute with huge amounts of data without having transformational change. This one says creativity, and I want to just, this is several million years we were hunter-gatherers, several million. The next stage we became agriculturalists, and we were there for several thousand years versus millions. The next stage we became industrialists, and we're still there, but that's a couple of centuries old. So we've gone from millions to thousands to centuries, hundreds. We got the information age several decades ago, and about 3 years ago, we got to what is now called the cognitive augmentation stage. This is just beginning to explode. We used to use tools that we manipulated. Think of a hammer and a chisel. Chisel goes where you push it with the hammer. Today, with generational AI programs, it's giving you ideas. It's generating opportunities for you. Who's been on ChatGPT and asked about their own company? What strategies could we employ against our competitors to do better? Anybody done that? And what happened?
Not much.
Not much, but if you know how to prompt it, we work for a railway company in Canada. We asked ChatGPT, what examples are there of early low-hanging fruit in the passenger rail transportation industry that have already been applied by other companies elsewhere? 15 answers came up. It's there already today for you. So if you're not playing with ChatGPT and some of the other things that go with it, and if your executives aren't, you're really not doing your job. So number one thing when you leave here today is get on ChatGPT and start exploring what you can do with that medium. It's generative. It provides more to your thinking than any tool in human history has done before. This is really new stuff. And look, we're becoming competent at quite a few white-collar jobs. Biology, Olympiad, bar exams. The California bar exam, generative AI produced a 90% result. That's not too shabby, is it, to be in the 90th percentile of the California bar exams, and so on down, medical MCAT. In fact, Google now has a program that is a certified doctor in California, the program, a certified doctor. So the question is, can a program be creative? I don't know, it's an interesting philosophical debate. But this got 87% on the medical exam, and turned out that it did a lot better in terms of diagnostics of the materials presented to it, and surprisingly, its responses to the patients were 41% more empathetic. Instead of saying, "Dear Ilmez, you know, your cancer's getting worse, love Dr. David," he said, "Dear Ilmez, how's Valentine's Day going? It's so nice to be back in touch with you," because computers don't get tired, so doctors do. Detecting breast cancer, radiologists beyond 2 o'clock in the afternoon, who started at a 9 o'clock shift, beyond 2, the false positive rate rises by 30%, because they get tired. The machine diagnosing potential breast cancer doesn't get tired, and in fact, it can see it at a stage of 0.5 on a scale of 0 to 5. Usually, radiologists pick it up about 2. So in a way, this technology is going to eliminate breast cancer as a serious risk for almost all women who it's available to. So they can pick it up at 0.5 versus what they can do otherwise. This is a Harvard Business School case. They did it with Bain & Company. The company's not known by name, but it was Bain. They took 50 Bainies and gave them 2 or 3 problems and generative AI, and they took 50 Bainies without generative AI, and they gave them the same 50 problems, and they had, I think, 10 Harvard Business School professors assess the outcome. Guess what happened? On the generative AI side, 12% more work was done in 25% less time, with, in the opinion of the observers, 40% more quality. So something as complex as a corporate strategy, which is kind of infinitely complex, is much better determined by using these tools. And that's why I'd say each and every one of you have got to go out of here and get yourself conversant with some of these technologies, but also make sure that your management teams are aware of what's happening, where it's happening, and getting on the boat as fast as they possibly can. This comes from Nick. This is his exponential improvement in time. He believes that these technologies are all improving by 100% every 3.5 months. 3.5 months. We as humans are terrible at projecting exponential stuff. But that's 35,000 times better in 5 years. That's a non-trivial outcome, right? And to make this even more complicated, it's on an exponential scale. So we're now in a world of exponential improvement, which we as a class of beings have never been in before. But this is the pace and scale and impact of these changes. So generative AI producing stuff that is creative, and finally sensory AI. All of this is happening. We have different scores today in these sensory capacities. And one of the ones I thought you'd enjoy is you can now smell counterfeit whiskey. So the molecular structure of a counterfeit Glenlivet 25-year-aged whiskey is now computer available. And there's also a beginning of a wine inventory list where you put the wine in a sensor and it says, oh yes, a Pauillac 1985 from this region, probably from this part of the vineyard. Amazing. Anyhow, I thought, Yilmaz, you'd enjoy the whiskey one. I put that in for you. And sensory AI. So what do you do? Number one, leadership. This is not a committee decision. You have to have a CEO and a board chair and a board that is committed to this transformative nature of our lives today and says, do it. I don't want a committee meeting to study whether we should do it. I want something to happen today. And get started. Get started anywhere. Ask ChatGPT, in my industry, in my company, what kinds of things have been done in other places using generative AI that could save us a lot of money and are easy to do. As in the case of the Canadian railway system, we got 15 answers in 3 seconds. And this is not hard stuff to get started on. And focus on the low-risk proven winners. Try and build a capacity and an interest in the company in what's going on here by having some early low-hanging fruit wins. And probably you don't want to do this alone. You want to add people to your board possibly who understand what's happening, believe in it, and are messianic about it. You want to go to one of the cloud providers to make sure that your material is kept within your boundaries. ChatGPT, if you put in anything confidential, will be available to the whole universe the next second. You probably want to use a consultant to help you get going, and you probably want to start with a legal consultant to build the guardrails for you in terms of privacy, bias within all of these kinds of generative AI stuff. There's a lot of risks involved here. So those are the three. What are boards doing now? And I'll just take you through. There's 10 of these, and it's available, Yilmaz, later on, is it not? Yeah. Age, you would have thought, well, maybe boards are getting younger. Walmart, after all, has 3 directors on its board who are 40 years of age. They believe their main competitor is Amazon, not another grocery chain. So they have 3 directors. So I went to Stanford, and I worked with David Larker, the professor there. I said, take a look through all American public companies and tell me how many directors are under 40. He came back and said, I can't do that because we can't find any, but I can tell you how many are under 50. Look at that. Does that show that age is changing boards and how they think about these problems? Not at all. When you look at the other one, this is the Toronto Stock Exchange. We're now at 18% of our directors are above 70 and 6% are below 50. Maybe that's something you ought to think about. I'm not sure, but it's certainly something that's not happening. And in the United States, there's 21% above 70 and 4% below 50. Okay, so age is not happening anywhere. How about expertise? You can do word searches of all the published materials in the United States. So anything that would imply a digital knowledge, machine learning and education and computer science, something like that. We scour using 20 words, and you'll see that the number in the Toronto Stock Exchange of tech-savvy boards has increased quite dramatically. It's almost doubled. And the number of boards that have tech-savvy directors has, in fact, doubled in the last couple of years. In the United States, the same kind of pattern is true. And so Warren Buffett, usually deemed to be the greatest investment guru in the history of the universe, he's already had his technology gurus on his board for 15 years. He was there first. But the rest of us not. Spencer Stuart tells us that specialist directors are not generally in high demand, but interest in directors with technology backgrounds is growing. So this is getting to be an important component of thinking about renewing your board. Think about the expertise inherent around the table, even if it's not embodied in a younger person. Board committees, Walmart has a technology committee. The S&P is now up to 70 from 46 7 or 8 years ago. In Canada, we now have 4. I don't know how many technology committees there are in Turkey, but that's not changing in Canada. Advisory boards, I have no data, but that's another way to manage this. Set up a separate non-fiduciary advisory board. Innovation labs. If you think about Marriott Hotels, they have 8,700 properties across 139 countries and territories with 1.423 million rooms and 400,000 employees. You can't have every person cleaning a room being an innovator. That's not a very good idea. 400,000 people changing 1.5 million beds a day cannot be innovative. They've got to be structured. Where do the ashtrays go? Where does the pillow go? So how do you then combine, given that routine drives out creativity, how do you combine the need to change and transform with the fact that you need systems to conform? It's a very real problem. Routinizing large complex bureaucracies versus innovating to survive. Now this guy did it. He was vice chairman of IBM under Lou Gerstner in the 70s, and he came back and said to Lou, as a company, we're going bankrupt. I know you're dealing with the financial side of things. I've just traveled to more countries and met more employees and seen more customers and visited more plants than any other executive in IBM corporate history, bar none. And Lou, we're perfect at one thing. And Lou smiled broadly, thinking, this is the salvation of our company. Good. What is it, John? Crushing all new ideas. We're perfect at one thing, crushing all new ideas. We have got so heavy into bureaucracy for confirmation of who we are as IBM around the world that there's no room at all for innovation. So this is the Harvard business model on 3 horizons: the existing business, emerging businesses, and options for the future. John said you've got to cut the future off from the current. You have to actually find a way to create centers of innovation in IBM without conforming to any single system at all within IBM, and that's what he did. He said, give me $300 million a year for 3 years, I'll set up 12 incubators, I'll hire the people, I'll pay the people, I'll assess their productivity and their potential outcome, and I'll come back and I report only to you, Lou. And he built 4 new multi-billion-dollar businesses over the next 5 years. It never would have happened if he hadn't separated the innovation from the conformity needs of large, complex bureaucracies. So how many people have done that? And the answer is 90 of them now in the United States. So this is a very common answer, is to provide the innovation in a separate structure, completely divorced from the ongoing bureaucracies. So that's one, and you then finance with corporate venture capital, which is huge. So they invested in Blue River, and these other companies that I'm going to show you here have invested in many others. Caterpillar has 24, Medtronic has 39 companies of transformation. Walmart itself has 52 different transformational efforts going on inside of it. And Bosch, the automotive parts company, has 27. And they've all done that by separating the bureaucracy and the ongoing trajectory from the future and the potential of change. So there's a core lesson here to get away from it. Toyota has 24. Okay, and NVIDIA has 39. And everybody wants to be like NVIDIA. And I think I read today in the paper that one of Elon Musk's new projects is to invest trillions into new chips because we're going to be short of these chips. Netflix has 42. So innovation labs are really significant in the US, and they're financed by corporate venture capital. Here's another way you can get started. Ask the CEO, what's happening in our business? This is hospitality industry. Arne Sorensen was a CEO. The board asks Arne, what's going on in technology and hospitality? How could Airbnb have a bigger market cap than Marriott? Just how does that happen? What are they doing? What are they going to do? And Arne said, well, how much time do you want me to invest? They said 20%. So he went to Craig Smith, who was then the head of Asia Pacific. And he said to Craig, I want you to invest, a lot of this is happening in China in hospitality. I want you to invest 50% of your time, understanding what's going on in China and bringing it back to us. And Craig said, that's a great idea, Arne, but I've got 3,000 hotels in 15 different countries. And Arne said, I know you do. Delegate it. I want you to invest 50% of your time. So coming from the board through the CEO to the operating executive and the nearest to the country where this is being led, he ended up doing a joint venture with Alibaba, which up until I think yesterday was the largest single float in the history of the New York Stock Exchange at $37 billion at the time of float. And they did a joint venture which is transforming Marriott inside now by using the experiences that are happening in China, because they now have it embodied in one of their most senior executives. So task the CEO and ask the right questions. Nick would tell you, don't ask when this is going to happen. Ask yourselves as a board, when it does happen, how much of a difference is it going to make? Is it going to transform us? Is it going to put us out of business? And if you can't see the next tech leap, 37% of next generation leaders are confident they have the right general skills to implement Gen AI compared to 26% of CEOs. So there's a whole new management thing for the HR committee to worry about. If we don't have the skills at the board level, do we have them inside the company to get going? And if we don't, we better start thinking about that. Because my advice to you is get started on something, anything, now. Leave this room and go on to ChatGPT. Do something, because I believe that this is an extinction event. This is not kind of an aberration, a little pothole we're going. This is an extinction event. And if you don't get started on this journey, there's only one question left to answer. One question. Where do you want to be buried? Thank you. Yilmaz, you're gonna take some questions for me?
Well, thank you very much. That was really very most inspiring. Thank you to Arguden Academy, of course. Well, you touched upon how everything is about to change radically, and even maybe more than the internet changed several years ago. The way not only we did business, but the way we have been existing in the society.
Yes.
But more specifically on the board level, okay, the AI-related innovation and progress has to be taken into account permanently in every single decision.
I agree.
How about the decision-making itself? The methodology of decision-making itself and the board around the table. What do you guess about?
I don't know, but I'll go and ask ChatGPT. I think it's a really good question. You have an answer to that, I'm sure.
I think there are two areas where the boards need to focus on. One of them is what are the competencies within their organization about this new technology? How are they building that competency? And just as David mentioned with Marriott and so forth, how much time are you investing benchmarking with the newcomers? Because generally you don't realize what the newcomers are until they swipe you out of business. So you have to watch out for that. And finally, it could also help the business of the board as well by providing information and so forth, which is not necessarily fed through the regular channels to the board. So one area of focus is how you do the business of board, but more importantly, how the board should provide focus for the company to watch out for what's coming and to build the skills to do it themselves.
But it is going to be generative. And it's never been generative before. So I don't think there really is an answer to the question until we get more used to that generative capacity. Asking ChatGPT the question, or more recently, if you go to Cohere, you can get onto a program called Coral, which instead of large language models, which stopped 2 years ago, it trolls the internet. So you can get a current, like what happened up until a minute ago on the internet using Coral as an interface, and just ask it questions. And so they're going to be generating ideas. The notion of a pilot and a co-pilot, I think, is critical here. The generative AI is the co-pilot. You, as a human being, are still the pilot. And you're going to be assessing the answer for sensibility and for creativity. In the case of architecture, because my friend Nick had a very close friend in architecture, and at a dinner party, the architectural guy said to him, well, Nick, that's all very interesting stuff. But, I mean, we're creative. I have an architectural firm. And Nick said, come with me. And he went on to ChatGPT and Web Discovery, a visual output indicator. So what are you designing now? He said, I'm designing a 3,000-foot house on a hillside overlooking the Pacific Ocean for one of the tech billionaires. And how much are you charging that person? He said, $300,000. And what does the person want? Well, he wants this and that. So Nick went on to ChatGPT, said, design me a house, 3,000 square feet with 3 bedrooms, 1 large living room, a reflecting pool, and it looks a little bit like a Frank Gehry house. Bang. Up it came. And he said, yeah, but look at that. The reflecting pool's split in the middle. No reflecting pools. He said, okay, bang, change. Yeah, but I don't like the starkness of that. Okay, push in a few more cues. Bang, it changed. They came up with 400 different designs in an afternoon. He then transformed his whole company using this new generative tool for creativity, so that he now goes to the client and says, oh, did you want another bathroom in there? Did you want that kind of a window? And if you say yes or no, we just go and bang, up it comes. So he has trebled his business, quadrupled his customer satisfaction. His employees are thrilled by the use of this tool, and transformed the architectural business in Southern California to an extent that he says any architect that doesn't get these tools in his or her arsenal today is gone tomorrow. So the generative AI kind of had a completely transformative impact on the business of creativity of building homes. And I don't think anybody could have guessed that starting off. So I don't know the answer to your question.
I think it's probably one of the answers to the dismissive comments from people about hallucination of AI. So further thoughts on, how we should really think about the hallucination.
I think you should be very aware of the risks. So when Nick put into Web Discovery, give me a picture of 20 doctors. They were all male, 30-year-old, white. Give me a picture of 20 nurses. They were all female, white, and about 20. So the bias was built right into that generator, which they hadn't known about. Steve Wozniak, a founder of Apple, he and his wife share all their accounts, all their assets together. And on the Apple credit card application, his wife got a 20% increase in fees for the risk the application deemed she was going to take versus him. There was a complete gender bias built deeply into the mechanics that nobody knew until there was a result. So that's why you need somebody taking a look and saying, does this make any sense, or is there some bias in here that's deeply embedded in the machine learning that we weren't aware of? And there often is.
You need to interpret.
Yeah, you do. And the risks of AI are huge in terms of intellectual property. I think everybody's suing ChatGPT and its AI, OpenAI.
New York Times and so forth.
Yeah, New York Times, yeah. So there's a ton of stuff to worry about. That's why Nick would say, start with a lawyer who's practiced in this field first to set up some initial guardrails for you, including don't let your staff, it's like a phishing call, don't let your staff get on ChatGPT and say, here are our earnings for the next quarter, can you write a better report for me? That's not going to be a good idea. It will write a better report, but it'll be instantly in the world. So you've got to build sort of boundaries around these things.
If I may, I have a second question. As the mother of a 17-year-old boy, so AI will obviously impact all the starting jobs, a lot of which can be done by AI, right?
Yeah.
I mean, consider any industry. Instead of having an analyst, you can have AI do the job. So how do we actually grow talents in those, for instance, professional services where they have to start with the basic jobs, which AI is doing now, but we still need to feed the talent through the pipeline, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Send him to MIT Computer Engineering or Stanford. Make sure he gets to a good university in a computer engineering school, and he'll be in such demand. There's a huge lack of supply in terms of people conversant with machine learning, artificial intelligence, generative AI.
Not everyone wants to study computer science.
Okay, but if he wants to get going at a high level of salary, don't join McKinsey, Bain, or BCG anymore. Go to Stanford, Caltech, MIT, and get started in a great program with computer engineering, computer literacy.
Frankly, the most important constraint in moving in this line is the speed of learning of the individuals. And actually, the young people learn much faster. So they will surpass their seniors. I think ones who are in danger, but the ones above them.
Interesting.
Any other questions? Yes? Over there.
Thank you so much. It's been fascinating, and for me as someone who's really obsessed recently with AI, it was a new perspective. I do have two questions. They're pretty much related. The first one is regarding the confidentiality of the AI, because what we type on generative AI is also recorded, and it's open data for rest of the people, rest of the companies using the technology. So how secure it is to use the generative AI? And my second question is regarding the cybersecurity, because as it is an electronic system, it's open for attacks or hacks, etc. So how can we feel secure while just using the generative AI
You
for
can't.
most of the decisions?
The cybersecurity, even before generative AI, was deemed by the professor who teaches that in our director's education program to be the third largest GDP in the world. After America and China, the third largest income generating nation in the world are computer hackers and cybersecurity. And that's before Gen AI. So I think it's a race of evil versus good, and it's just going to be, it's going to compound itself exponentially over the next couple of decades. And I don't know who's going to win. I went to a conference with the new CEO of AT&T, and he was deeply concerned that the forces of evil would overwhelm the forces of good in this generative AI world, because we're all going to be constrained by government regulations. But states like Iran or China or North Korea are not going to be constrained by anything. And there's no lack of talent in those nations to do this kind of stuff. So cybersecurity is a real problem. If you go to a cloud provider as a major company, they'll give you an insulated model, so it stays within the company, and they'll probably do that for free. So I think that answers the first question. How somebody in one department finds out about another one, that's sort of a subset. Do you want each department to have its own Gen AI universe? You could. But you can get out of the global one by just going to one of the cloud providers, and they should give it to you for free.
This is one of the issues that the boards need to be concerned about as well, and have to invest sufficiently in that area as well. If you don't realize the potential risks, you don't invest sufficiently.
I also have one more follow-up. Actually, it's pretty much using this opportunity what I have in the mic. But this Saturday, I'll be organizing an event as a part of Munich Security Conference. And in the event, we are going to challenge the generative AI and its capabilities to present solid policy recommendations for the government. And I would be very happy to welcome you in this event. I just want to say, if you're going to be in Munich, and also by challenging the generative AI, we will also question the cybersecurity part and how governments will going to adapt themselves to the new governance of generative AI. So keep in mind, let me know if you're going to be in Munich.
Okay, thank you.
Thank